Elvis was driving through downtown Memphis when he saw something that made him slam on the brakes and break down crying in his Cadillac. Sitting on the steps of an abandoned barber shop was an elderly black man he hadn't seen in 18 years. What Elvis did next didn't just save one man's life. It revealed a secret that had been hidden since Elvis was 12 years old. It was November 14th, 1972, and Elvis was driving through old Memphis neighborhoods when he turned onto Beale Street and saw something that stopped his heart. Sitting on the concrete steps of what used to be Turner's barbershop was Sam Turner. The man who had cut Elvis's hair from age 7 to 15 was barely recognizable. His once proud shoulders were hunched with age and hardship. His clothes were tattered and too thin for the November cold. His face now carried the hollow look of someone who had lost hope. Elvis pulled over immediately, his hands shaking. Sam Turner wasn't just any barber from his childhood. He was the man who had treated a poor white boy with the same dignity he showed every customer. He was the man who had believed in Elvis's dreams when almost no one else did. Elvis got out and walked toward the old man. As he got closer, he could see Sam was even worse off. His shoes had holes. His eyes seemed distant and tired. "Mr. Sam," Elvis called out softly. Sam looked up, squinting. For a moment, confusion crossed his face. Then, recognition dawned. "Elvis?" Sam whispered. "Elvis Presley? Is that really you?" Elvis sat beside him. "What happened to your shop?" Sam looked at the boarded-up windows. "This used to be my place. 43 years cutting hair here." Elvis felt his throat tighten. He remembered this shop vividly. The smell of hair tonic, the sound of scissors, the feeling of being treated with respect. "Urban renewal," Sam replied sadly. "City bought us out, but my paperwork got lost. By the time they sorted it out, good locations were taken and the money wouldn't cover a new shop." To understand why this moment hit Elvis so hard, we need to go back to 1955. The Presley family was desperately poor. Vernon worked sporadically. Gladys took in washing. Every penny mattered, and professional haircuts were rare. Most of the time, Gladys cut Elvis's hair with dull scissors. But every other Saturday, if Vernon found work, Elvis would walk 6 blocks to Turner's barbershop on Beale Street. The shop was small and simple, but to young Elvis, it was like entering a palace. Sam Turner was in his 50s, a dignified man who treated every customer like royalty, regardless of skin color or economic status. In 1955, Memphis, that was unusual. But not Sam Turner. When Elvis walked in, Sam offered him the same chair, attention, and respect he gave wealthy customers. He asked about Elvis's week, his school, his dreams. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Sam would ask while trimming around Elvis's ears. "A singer," Elvis would reply confidently. "Then you'll be a singer," Sam said matter-of-factly. "Just remember the folks who helped you get there." Sam never charged full price, 35 cents instead of 50, though he actually only charged 25 and absorbed the loss himself. Sam did something else that changed Elvis's life forever. In the corner of Sam's shop sat an old guitar that belonged to one of his customers, a blues musician named Arthur Big Boy Crudup. When business was slow, Big Boy would play while waiting for his turn. Young Elvis was mesmerized by the music. "You like that music, don't you, son?" Sam observed one Saturday afternoon. Elvis nodded enthusiastically. "It's the most beautiful thing I ever heard." Sam walked over to Big Boy. "Arthur, would you mind teaching this boy a few chords?" For the next hour, Big Boy taught Elvis the basics of guitar playing. It was Elvis's first real lesson in blues music, his introduction to the sound that would make him famous. "That boy's got music in his soul," Big Boy told Sam. "You can see it in his eyes when he listens." Sam Turner filed that observation away and began planning something special. Every time Elvis came in for a haircut, Sam would set aside a quarter from the payment. He didn't tell Elvis what he was doing. He just quietly saved those quarters, week after week, month after month. By Elvis's 15th birthday, Sam had saved enough money to buy a used guitar from a pawn shop downtown. The guitar wasn't much to look at, scratched and dented with strings that needed constant tuning. But it played, and it was Elvis's first real instrument. "Happy birthday, Elvis," Sam said, presenting the guitar on a warm Saturday afternoon in January 1950. "Now you can practice what Big Boy taught you." Elvis was stunned. He'd never owned anything so valuable, anything so perfect for his dreams. Mr. Bay could— "Sam, I can't accept this. It's too much." "It's not too much," Sam replied. "It's an investment. Someday when you're famous, you remember old Sam Turner who believed in you from the beginning." That guitar became Elvis's most treasured possession. He carried it with him everywhere. He practiced until his fingers bled. He played it on the porch, at school, anywhere people would listen. It was the guitar he was holding when he walked into Sun Records for his first audition. It was the guitar that Sam Phillips heard when he decided Elvis had something special. But as Elvis's career exploded and his life became a whirlwind of recording sessions, concerts, and Hollywood, he gradually lost touch with the people from his early days. He moved to Graceland. His world became populated by managers, agents, and celebrities. The simple relationships of his childhood seemed to belong to another lifetime. Sam Turner continued cutting hair on Beale Street, following Elvis's career in newspapers and on television, with the pride of someone who had played a small but important role in a miracle. When customers asked if he really knew Elvis Presley, Sam would smile and say, "I cut that boy's hair for 8 years, watched him grow from a shy kid into a young man with dreams bigger than Memphis." But Sam never tried to contact Elvis or capitalize on their connection. He understood that Elvis's life had moved far beyond the world of small barbershops and Saturday afternoon conversations. Sam was content to know that he had helped nurture something beautiful, even if the world would never know about his contribution. The years were not kind to Sam Turner. Urban renewal destroyed his business. Health problems ate up his savings. By 1972, he was living in a tiny apartment above a grocery store, surviving on Social Security and the occasional odd job. He had lost touch with most of his old customers, and many of his friends had died or moved away. And that's how Elvis found him on those steps, alone, forgotten, and nearly broken. "Mr. Sam," Elvis said, sitting there on those concrete steps, "do you remember giving me a guitar for my 15th birthday?" Sam's eyes brightened for the first time since Elvis had recognized him. "I remember. Old beat-up thing from Murphy's pawn shop. Cost me $12.50. "That was my first real guitar," Elvis said, his voice thick with emotion. "The one I used for my first recording session. The one that started everything." Sam nodded slowly. "I figured it might be important someday. You had something special, even then." Elvis looked at this man who had shown such faith in a poor boy's dreams, who had sacrificed to help those dreams come true, and who was now sitting homeless on the street while Elvis lived in a mansion. The injustice of it was overwhelming. "Mr. Sam," Elvis said, "how would you like to come home with me?" Sam looked confused. "Home with you?" "To Graceland. I've got plenty of room, plenty of food, and I think it's time I repaid a debt I've owed for 17 years. Sam shook his head. "Elvis, I don't need charity. I've always made my own way." "It's not charity," Elvis replied. "It's family. You were more of a father to me than most of the men who claimed that title. You believed in me when believing took courage. You invested in my dreams when you had nothing to spare. Now it's my turn to take care of you." The conversation that followed lasted 2 hours. Sam was proud, dignified, and reluctant to accept help. But Elvis was persistent, and eventually, Sam's resistance crumbled in the face of Elvis's genuine love and gratitude. That guitar became Elvis's most treasured possession. He carried it everywhere, practiced until his fingers bled. He played it on the front porch, at school talent shows, anywhere people would listen. It was the guitar he was holding when he walked into Sun Records for his first audition. But as his career exploded, he gradually lost touch with people from his early days. Sam Turner continued cutting hair on Beale Street, following Elvis's career in newspapers with quiet pride. He never tried to contact Elvis or capitalize on their connection. "Mr. Sam," Elvis said, sitting there on those steps, "do you remember giving me a guitar for my 15th birthday?" Sam's eyes brightened for the first time. "Old beat-up thing from Murphy's pawn shop. Cost me $12.50. "That was my first real guitar," Elvis said, his voice thick with emotion. "The one I used for my first recording session, the one that started everything." Elvis looked at this man who had shown such faith in a poor boy's dreams, who had sacrificed to help those dreams come true, and who was now sitting homeless while Elvis lived in a mansion. The injustice was overwhelming. How would you like to come home with me? Sam looked confused. Home with you? To Graceland. I've got plenty of room, plenty of food, and it's time I repaid a debt I've owed for 17 years. Sam shook his head. Elvis, I don't need charity. I've always made my own way. It's not charity, Elvis replied. It's family. You were more of a father to me than most of the men who claimed that title. Now it's my turn to take care of you. The conversation lasted 2 hours. Sam was proud, dignified, reluctant to accept help. But Elvis was persistent, and eventually Sam's resistance crumbled in the face of Elvis's genuine love and gratitude. That evening, Sam Turner moved into Graceland. Elvis set him up in one of the guest suites, a luxurious apartment that was larger than any place Sam had ever lived. He made sure Sam had everything he needed: clothes, food, medical care, and most importantly, dignity. For the staff at Graceland, Elvis made it clear that Sam was to be treated as an honored guest, not a charity case. Sam took his meals with Elvis when possible. He sat by the pool on warm afternoons. He watched television in the living room and shared stories of old Memphis with anyone who would listen. More importantly, Sam brought something to Graceland that had been missing: a connection to Elvis's authentic self. In Sam's presence, Elvis could remember who he'd been before fame changed everything. They would sit on the porch in the evenings, just like they used to sit in the barber shop, talking about life and dreams. You turned out better than I expected, Sam said one evening as they watched the sunset. I had good teachers, Elvis replied. You had a good heart, Sam corrected. That's something nobody can teach you. Sam lived at Graceland for 6 months, the happiest of his life. He was surrounded by comfort and care, but more importantly, he was valued and respected. Elvis made sure that Sam's stories were heard, that his wisdom was appreciated. During those months, Elvis found a notebook tucked between the pages of Sam's old Bible. It contained detailed records of every quarter Sam had saved for the guitar, plus observations about Elvis's musical progress. January 15, 1949. Elvis played 3 chords without stopping, getting better. March 3, 1949. Elvis sang while playing Today. Voice is getting stronger. June 12, 1949. Only need $2 more for the guitar. Almost there. Elvis read through page after page of careful observations, realizing Sam had been documenting and nurturing his musical development with the dedication of a music teacher. Sam had been his first manager, first fan, first believer, never asking anything in return. Mr. Sam, Elvis said, holding the notebook with trembling hands, why didn't you ever tell me about this? Sam smiled. Didn't need to tell you. You lived it. I was just keeping track so I'd remember when you got famous. That moment changed everything for Elvis. He realized that his success wasn't just his own achievement. It was the result of countless acts of kindness from people like Sam Turner, who had invested in his dreams with no expectation of reward. From that day forward, Elvis made sure that Sam's story was told. He spoke about Sam in interviews, crediting him as one of the most important influences in his early life. When Sam Turner passed away peacefully in his sleep at Graceland on September 22, 1973, Elvis was devastated. The funeral was held at a small church in Memphis, and Elvis served as one of the pallbearers. In his eulogy, Elvis said, Sam Turner taught me that kindness is the most powerful force in the world. He saw potential in a poor boy when nobody else did. He invested his own hard-earned money in a stranger's dreams. He never asked for credit or recognition. He just quietly made the world better, one person at a time. The guitar that Sam had bought for Elvis's 15th birthday was buried with him. Elvis felt it was the only appropriate tribute to a man who had literally purchased the instrument that launched his career. At the service, Elvis announced the establishment of the Sam Turner Foundation, dedicated to supporting young musicians who couldn't afford instruments or lessons. Today, that foundation has provided instruments to over 10,000 young people, many of whom have gone on to successful musical careers. Every guitar, piano, or set of drums comes with a small plaque that reads, "In memory of Sam Turner, who believed in dreams when believing took courage." The story of Elvis and Sam Turner reminds us that we never know how our kindness might change someone's life. A barber's belief in a young boy's dreams, expressed through years of quarter-by-quarter savings, helped create one of the most influential artists in history. But more than that, it showed Elvis the power of quiet generosity, the importance of investing in others without expecting recognition. Sometimes the most important gifts we give are the ones nobody sees. Sometimes the greatest investments we make are in people who seem to have nothing to offer in return. And sometimes, decades later, that investment comes back to us in ways we never imagined. Sam Turner died knowing that his faith in a 12-year-old boy had been justified. Elvis lived the rest of his life trying to be worthy of that faith, paying forward the kindness that had made his dreams possible. If this incredible story of hidden kindness and quiet heroism moved you, make sure to subscribe and share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that their dreams matter, no matter where they're starting from. Have you ever had someone believe in you when nobody else did? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to ring that notification bell for more amazing true stories about the people who shape our lives in ways we never forget.